And how's it going, guys? It's Josh Olufemii, and I'm here with one of my best bros, Amir, over in New York City. Amir is a avid Final Cut Pro X editor. I've known him for years. We've had a infamous battle of the minds regarding which is the better NLE to use, Final Cut Pro X or Premiere Pro. It's been amazing. We've been talking about it for years. He finally made an incredible, and I mean an incredible, Final Cut Pro beginner tutorial free course that's going to be up on the channel soon, very, very soon. And it's amazing. Like, even if you've never touched Final Cut Pro before, you will be able to do this course and be very proficient in it. Now, something that's interesting is I had never touched Final Cut Pro. I've had a lot to say about it, but I've never actually gone into the software and actually seen it. Once I viewed this tutorial, dare I say, I'm convinced that Final Cut Pro is actually not only a pretty good, but an amazing software. What this conversation is going to be is we're going to actually break down what makes Final Cut Pro just as good, and in some cases better than Premiere Pro. And then I'm going to try to retain my dignity and talk through why I feel like Premiere Pro is still worth sticking to as far as my primary NLE, nonlinear editor, because previously I completely just discredited Final Cut Pro X as a cheap software that could not hold a candle against the professionalism that you could find in the Adobe suites. If you're watching this video, you're probably a video editor, and Envato Elements is a video editor's dream. It's a subscription service that gives you unlimited downloads of the most incredible stock footage, like cloud and fog overlays, aerial footage, fire, lightning. They also have incredible VFX packs, Premiere and After Effects templates, sound effects, royalty-free music, and literally anything you could ever want as a video editor. Just by clicking the link below, you will automatically get a free first month. You'll see that coupon for the free first month at the very, very end after you've finished signing up. And that's it. I use Elements literally in some regard every day. Okay, so Amir, you've used both Premiere and Final Cut Pro X. Which one's a better software?
I would say Final Cut X, and that's just only because it's just the organizing. That's my favorite thing about Final Cut X, is the fact that I'm able to organize my footage and not think. I'm able to label it, whether it's keywords, or I'm able to put markers on it. And it's like a certain way that Final Cut works. So I could organize the footage at the top inside of the browser area. Once I put it in the timeline, there's an index where I can actually locate what I just organized. So if I'm editing in front of a client, I'm always able to locate the footage just by words. The metadata inside Final Cut is exceptional. I can find anything at any time, and I'm able to have the client with me while I'm editing. So I can edit live, and they can see the process, and they can see the project open in front of their eyes. And that's because of the amazing power of the organization inside of Final Cut.
Tell me about this. Do you use After Effects, Amir?
I don't use After Effects often. If I do use it, I mostly use it for Mocha Pro, because the plugin of Mocha Pro is really, really powerful. It's one of my favorite VFX apps, and with After Effects, with After Effects together, it's amazing. For me, I guess I see where you're going with the dynamic linking. I would say, yeah, Premiere has the power of dynamic linking, but then if that's the case, since we're just staying on. Luckily, we're just staying on Final Cut and Premiere, because there's DaVinci, and that's the #1 in dynamic linking. But just saying.
Wait, DaVinci can't dynamic link. Oh, because of Fusion.
Yes.
Fusion. If you're one of these,
all the tabs at the bottom everything's dynamic linked at every second. But
you got it's Fusion, right? Yeah, you got to learn Fusion though. You can't go to After Effects. You have to be one of those weirdos that learn Fusion instead of After Effects.
But nodes is where it's at, especially when you want to do color and when you want to do deeper compositing, because Nuke as well has nodes as well too. But let's just say Final Cut and Premiere for right now.
Okay, DaVinci. I actually agree. DaVinci's interface is smarter than Premiere for sure. But we'll talk about that later. So as far as Final Cut goes, so first of all, I think the main #1 reason why I would not switch to Final Cut, beyond me having to fight being lazy, having to learn a new editing software, is I am a PC guy for life. I believe PC is the premier editing hardware to use, and Final Cut just for whatever reason, they're Apple based. They won't ever migrate to PC. So Apple is forcing me to stay with Premiere. It's not myself.
I could give you just a lesson on that, and this is why Final Cut is so powerful. Okay. 90% of the videos you've seen on my, whether it's Instagram or YouTube, has been made on a 2013 i5 8GB and 256 gigabyte RAM. I mean, 256 gigabyte SSD drive.
Okay.
So basically, it's 2013 model.
So it's slow. It's slow as heck.
Yeah,
but it still runs fast.
Yes, because the Final Cut, the way it's optimized, so I can still export faster than you. I can still do all this stuff and it's so cheap. You can buy the same computer probably right now for like $400.
Stop lying! I don't believe that.
That's not. I'm on a computer right now.
We need Jamie. Jamie, we need a fact checker.
Yeah, seriously, like we could do that right now. Like even a lot of the edits I've done is on this computer, and it's 2013 model. When it comes down to like certain effects and stuff like that, I do have a PC for that. But I would say like I said, 90% of everything I did is on a 2013 model.
Okay, so you've used Premiere though. You've used Premiere for multiple projects. Yes. What was the one reason? What were some of the reasons why you had to switch over from glorious Final Cut X and demean yourself having to go to? There must have been something about Premiere that gave you a reason to have to switch over, right?
And what you call it, the first short film I ever edited was on Premiere. Yeah. And it wasn't because of the client wanted me to do it. It's the fact that the codecs and everything like that wasn't updated on Final Cut at that time, so I had to go to Premiere. But another thing I liked about Premiere was the Mocha plugin works inside of it the same way it works inside of After Effects. So it was easy for when I had to do removals and stuff like that, and also blur out some items and documents and stuff like that in the side of the video, which was really, really cool. But it's just the fact of the hard part for me was just the track-based layer, and that's where it was hard for me to fight back and forward with the edit, because I could edit better in Final Cut, but I could edit cleaner in Premiere.
So for someone that's never done a project in Final Cut, I just watched your tutorial. Could you give me 5 reasons why you enjoy editing in Final Cut rather than editing in Premiere? It's off the top of your head.
The number one reason is, like I said, organizing. I'm able to teach anybody how to locate their footage, how to get a strong handle on where their footage is. And when we start doing the selecting process, it's all color coded inside of Final Cut. And then when you get started into the editing process, it's all color coded for that. So the first step is organization, and then when they're actually doing the editing process, they could see what footage they use because they'll have an orange bar under it, because it's showing that it's used. Another couple features in there is that the magnetic timeline. So with the magnetic timeline, I'm able to move around clips without having to worry about whether I'm bumping into another clip, whether that clip is being overwritten. And if I wanted to go and make it like track-based and make multiple layers, all I gotta do is just pull the clip up, lift it up off of the main storyline, and then create another storyline on top of it, or I could have it loose. And another bunch of other features is that Final Cut has a bunch of plugins because it's built on top of Motion. So that's why they had to go from 7 to X, because they wanted to integrate Motion inside of Final Cut. So all of the plugins that we have are motion-based plugins, which is which is Apple's type of After Effects called Motion. Okay. But all of the plugins we have are based off of Motion. So the graphics and everything like that are high quality.
I've noticed that Daniel Schiffer, I've watched a few Daniel Schiffer tutorials. He always uses Final Cut X. And his ability to do speed ramping so easily and in such a clean way, I respect. Man. Yeah. Like there's definitely like VFX elements that are just like wrapped up in the the Final Cut interface, where it's like there isn't a lot of work that has to be done to make really cool effects.
Yeah, it's simple. One thing I like about it is that it looks simple in beginner, but if you want to take it complex, it could get complex. Like I said, they updated it to make it more high-end production, like feature film production friendly, which is they have the proxy workflow that just got implemented, which is a more in-depth proxy workflow. Before it was just a basic proxy workflow. We just right-click it and proxy it. Now you're able to select the codecs and stuff like that. But it's like I said, it's really simple on what to use it, and any Mac that you have, whether any baseline pro that you have could work on it. So I would say 2013 and above, you'll be able to work on Final Cut at a good rate. I would say 1080p is optimal. Even though sometimes I do 4K 60, but I have a SSD external hard drive for that. So another feature is the rendering process. In Final Cut, you can actually have that set up in the beginning, where before you even set up, you can set up your whole Final Cut from the beginning to have a background rendering process going on, which is the timeline is going to be rendering as you're going along, or you could set the duration, whether it be a second or two or more for it to kick in. Me, I like to do it manually, so that I could pick certain sections to render. But the rendering process is really amazing, because what Final Cut does is that it uses the Apple ProRes render files. And since those are pretty high quality, especially just for exporting, unless you need 444 for alpha, those are perfectly used for exporting the certain codecs that you pick. So that on my machine, I've seen people with faster machines get like 6 hours or more through Premiere, but then on Final Cut, you have this rendering process. And like I said, Final Cut is made by Apple, so it's optimized for the hardware. So it's end-to-end set up for. So that's a big plus that I love about Final Cut. So another feature, say you have a huge project, you could create this thing called smart collections, where everything that you've organized, you could actually create a smart collection and organize what you already organized. This is just crazy. So basically, let me break it down. So say you're working inside of a bin, and you're organizing all of the clips inside of a bin, and then you get another card from a client, and it's like day 2 of a shoot. You organize those clips inside of a bin, but say you want to access the same either angle or the same type of performance, which is like if you're doing a music video and you have performance from day 1 and performance from day 2, with a smart collection, it could grab all of the clips from day 1 and day 2 into one smart collection at the top.
Wow. And
it'll be all of the performances in one section. So quick breakdown. So say you're doing a music video, you have all your performances from every look in one smart collection. Then you have all your B-roll from all of your from your whole video in another smart collection. But these are all keywords that are within every single bin that you created. So it's amazing. It's like the metadata is amazing, because it creates like a database for all of your footage. And the way you find your footage is just by clicking on the keyword, and it'll just pop right up automatically. And one more other feature of the keyword collection, smart collection, is that you're organizing and you're lost and you don't know what you did already. There's a feature inside of the keyword smart collection where you could eliminate everything you already organized, and everything that will be left is what you're currently working on. And then when everything disappears from that location, you've organized everything. So it's amazing, that feature. I know it's another benefit from the organization feature, that it's hard for me to leave Final Cut for any other software because of that.
Now, do you feel like Final Cut has always been this? Do you think all these features that you love in Final Cut, have they been there since the beginning, or are they relatively new things? Because I feel like the biggest thing that people would make fun of Final Cut X about like 10 years ago is just its lack of features.
Yeah, they didn't have multicam when it first came out. That was I wasn't using multicam back then, so it didn't like really affect me. So for me as an editor, it's kind of unfair for my analysis when it comes down to the history of editing. Yeah, Final Cut came out June 21st, 2011, and I got my laptop and I got started in 2013. So I came in with the software already being updated, and I didn't know much about the bash and history of like what happened in the past. And to be honest, I can't fully edit to my full potential if I'm not using Final Cut, and it's because of the way I edit now. And the tracks kind of hinder me when I want to just have clips all over the place, because I'm just trying to get ideas out. And then the fact that the Final Cut has the index, it could help me track all of those clips. So it's tremendously amazing what Final Cut could do.
The reason I wanted to bring you on here today, Amir, is I have been definitely putting a narrative out for 5 freaking years on this channel. Do not touch Final Cut Pro X. It is the worst thing you can think of. Anyone that was watching the channel knows we are Premiere and Premiere only. But what I wanted to do is acknowledge the improvement that Final Cut has actually gone through, and to all these new editors that are coming into the scene. You know, there's going to be some really, you know, important decisions that you're going to have to decide. If you are the person that, like me, you know, wants to kind of stick with PCs, I feel like, as far as how I've seen, PCs are still the cheaper option. If you want a stronger PC, you're going to have, it's going to be cheaper than its Mac equivalent. That kind of limits you to Premiere as the main NLE that you'll be using. If you're someone that already has a Mac, or you just have all the money in the world and money isn't an issue and you can afford a high-end Mac, then Final Cut in that case is I will definitely say is a contender, a respectable contender as far as what you should start out using in your video editing career. If you're planning on going into VFX, you have a few more choices in that right now After Effects is still the top tier all-inclusive VFX program, I would say. And using dynamic link with Premiere is everything. It basically allows you to be able to have an After Effects composition within your main editor, Premiere Pro. If you are using Final Cut Pro, Amir, tell me if you're wrong, Final Cut Pro has motion, right?
Final Cut Pro, it has motion, but there's no dynamic linking at the moment. So for me to set up a project when I'm either sending it out to color or VFX, what I do is I create compound clips, which is nesting, and for Premiere Pro. I basically create compound clips, and I put I label the effect and everything like that it is, and then when I export out the clip as a 444, all I have to do is, once I get it back from the VFX, is just drop it inside of Final Cut and put it inside the compound clip, and I don't even have to do anything. It will automatically update them to my timeline. So that's the workflow. It's a bit of a hassle, but at the same time, I found a workaround for it for the moment. So yeah.
And by 444, you mean ProRes 444 for anyone that...
Yeah, ProRes 444. And the reason why you go 444 is because of the high quality export, as well as there's alpha channels in a part of it too.
Gotcha.
That's what you need.
Cool. Let's talk about color correction. I've heard from my bro Richie Ramirez, aka Richie Films on Instagram, that the color correction in Final Cut Pro X is definitely superior to that of Premiere. I don't know how it would compare to DaVinci Resolve, but tell me about your experience color correcting and color grading in Final Cut.
What I would say is that it has grown over the years. So since I started in 2013, it wasn't as advanced as it is now. All we had in 2013 was 3 pucks, and it's for exposure. It was just up and down and up, and it was just basic. Now we have color wheels, and now we also have hue versus saturation, hue versus luma. And now we also have LUTs built inside of it. And then there's a plugin that that a lot of people used to use back in the day, but I don't know if they still use it now. It's called Color Finale, where it had curves, it had the wheels, it had everything set up for Final Cut. And it's till this day I still see some people using it. I don't use it myself anymore, but it's really amazing, because you could set up your color correction, and then based on the way you layer it, the color correction will come out a different way. So it is really powerful. And also, since Final Cut renders faster, you're able to see the reaction of your color correction much quicker in the edit. One
thing that Premiere Pro has yet to do effectively is an effective color matching tool. As far as that's something that they technically have, I think, but it doesn't work that well. Is that something that they have in Final Cut?
Yeah, they do. They do. On one of my old videos I did with a client, where I was actually using the client's finished photo to match the footage that was shot, and I just did a color match, and I gotten really close with it, and all I had to do was just a couple adjustments. I just want to say shout out to JP for shooting an amazing video, and also he understands lighting as well too, so he's able to use his camera in certain photography lighting settings to get the best video quality settings in camera, so it's easy for us in post to handle the footage. So yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up. Amir, talking about kind of the future, what you'd like to see in Final Cut Pro, and maybe some inadequacies that Final Cut Pro actually doesn't have, maybe when compared to Premiere.
One of the inadequacies that I see in Premiere is, the organization, where a lot of people, what they do is they create pancake timelines, and they have to scrub through the footage, and they have to really be hands-on with their clips. But for me, that's a double-edged sword, because I kind of wish Final Cut had a way to stack pancake timelines on top of each other, because then you could use the organization to see multiple different cuts, multiple different breakdowns, able to see clips at basically in various ways. And I wish Final Cut had that. Also, I wish Final Cut had more powerful plugins, which is Pluralize X, which is an organizing, which is a syncing software. Inside of Premiere, it works directly inside of it, and it organizes your whole timeline for you to sync it up. In Final Cut, we have to send it over to Pluralize to get it all set up. The same thing with Mocha Pro. And in Premiere, you can work directly in it. It'll directly show up on your timeline, and you're done. In Final Cut, I have to export it out, work inside of Premiere or After Effects to get it all set up and done, and then bring it back. Another benefit about Premiere Pro and After Effects is their plugins. Their plugins are made super powerful. So they have the Pluralize plugin, which I talked about earlier, but then now they have the Mocha plugin, and that's a full-fledged Mocha standalone system that works inside of the timeline. So when you finish all of your editing and VFX, whether it's masking or tracking, it automatically shows up in the timeline, and then you're done. Inside of Final Cut, I have to export out the clip. I recently had to do this on a project where I had to rotoscope a lady's scarf to create a looping effect. I try to do it inside of Final Cut, and this is really weird inside of Final Cut. We can only zoom up to 300%, and then after we zoom up to 300%, or we can't even use the hand tool to move up. We have to use small part of the screen to mask out, and I knew I couldn't get under the clip to mask out. Inside of Mocha, which I had to do inside of Premiere, I was able to mask out the whole scarf, and then create a transition from it, and it was seamless. And then as soon as I finished it, it was already done in the timeline. So for this video, for the client, I'm gonna have to finish the whole thing inside of Premiere, because even though I've set it up inside of Final Cut, I'm gonna have to finish it inside of Premiere, because the looping effect is already set up, and also I just have to do the color, and then we're done. So that's like my only gripe with Final Cut, is that certain plugins that Final Cut doesn't have. And I think Final Cut is getting there, but I guess they're taking their time, because I would say another like benefit of Final Cut is stability. Since that there's not a lot of versions that come out, a lot of their versions are stable. Sometimes we wait a version or two to update, but they're usually more stable and rock solid, and you could work right off of it. But a number one rule for every production person is never update in between a project. You always update after, or you always update after your plugins are updated, not the software is updated. So that's a rule right there too for everybody.
Is Final Cut the future? Is it Premiere Pro? Is it DaVinci? Is it some other NLE that's bound to be made? What is it? Tell me.
It's the one that makes you the most amount of money, get you quicker to your deadlines. It's the one that has the best workflow for you and your team. It's the one that your system at the time you can make work. So basically anything that any NLE that makes you MONEY is where it's at.
Respect, man. I want everyone watching to know that there's a tutorial coming out on the channel made by Amir himself. He's going to take you from beginning to end how to use Final Cut Pro X. I promise you it's an amazing tutorial. I will say that most of the tutorials on this channel will still be Premiere Pro, but Amir has his own YouTube channel and he has amazing content on there. Link will be provided in the description. You got to check out some of his just his portfolio. His portfolio is amazing. It is his portfolio, I'll tell you, that actually convinced me to actually have a active ear as far as the benefits of Final Cut Pro to begin with.
I want to give a shout out to JP. Most of that in my portfolio, he shot it. directed and DP'd it. So big shout out to him. It's a team effort, man.
Shout out to JP. JP is an amazing friend, talented DP. Him and Amir work as a team, and together they create the most incredible content in the world. All of his info will be in the description as well. Amir, thank you so much for being on the channel. Cannot wait to get you back for you to share even more of your knowledge. Thank you all you guys for watching. There's 2 more videos for you to watch right here. Remember to check out Envato Elements for your free trial down in the description. And as always, remember to keep it chill.